live across North Texas and beyond. This is the Jenna Ryan Show.
Ain't that America for you and me? Ain't that America? Little pink houses for you.
Jenna Ryan is a world-renowned speaker and thought leader, ranked in the 87th most influential person online by Fast Company magazine. Jenna Ryan has spoken to thousands around the world and is now speaking to you. So with all things real estate and beyond, here is Jenna Ryan.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? So good to see you today. So good to hear from you today. So good to be here. I am here at the iHeartMedia radio station in Dallas, Texas at Alpha in the Tollway. I'm a real estate broker. I have Jenna Ryan Realty. I sell real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are live on Facebook right now at jenna.ryan1. You can go and watch us live, and we're smiling and profiling up on the Facebook today. And we're also on the radio here on Talk Radio 1190 AM, and I have royalty sitting next to me. I'm so excited about our guest today. I'm taking notes today because we have the Troy Olson with us today in the house.
Hi, Jenna. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. I'm so excited. We need applause there because Troy Olson is a $55 million producer in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And he's been telling me just a little bit about what's going on. I mean, I know what's going on because I'm a real estate agent and I see his name everywhere on all the listings. So, welcome to the show.
Excited to be here.
Yes, so this guy is a machine. I was showing one of his properties, one of his beautiful properties over there in Frisco. He lists. Tell us about your business.
So I've been in residential real estate for 15 years. This is my 13th year in the DFW market. I have a license in Arizona and Oklahoma, although I'm only active in Texas right now.
Okay.
And got here in September of 2004. Didn't know anybody, but knew that I wanted to be in Dallas, knew that the DFW market didn't take the hit that the East and the West Coast had taken at the time.
Right.
And we weathered the storm in 2007, 8, and 9.
I remember.
And I have continued to build my business and build my team over the past 13 years.
I'm so excited. Yes, that is wonderful. Now, just to kind of give you guys an idea of the level that you're talking to here, you're top 1% in Dallas.
That's correct.
Realtors. Okay, so he's in the top 300. I, on the other hand, am in the top 500. So I am a $10 million producer last year. He's a $55 million producer. That's the difference here that we're talking about. And I was asking him, and he said it's because of his...
Well, I would say a lot of it comes down to work ethic.
Team. Team.
And I have a team. I'm certainly not one individual that's producing that kind of volume. I've got 5 employees. I've got a great team around me.
Right.
They make me look good. They make the team a lot of money.
Right. Okay. And so, but when we were talking on the phone, you said that, before, that's really what helped you to take you to the next level, is having a team. Yeah.
So, I mean, I was exactly where you are, and you hit a plateau. You can only do so much as one individual.
Right.
I'm a control freak. I'm a workaholic.
Okay.
Everybody that knows me out there knows that that's accurate.
Okay.
And, I was taught leverage, and I started with a licensed assistant. Julie came on in July of 2014, so
Okay.
she's been with me almost for 4 years. And
a licensed assistant.
Yes. And the reason I needed her licensed is I was starting to get very buyer top heavy at the time, and I needed a buyer's agent.
Right.
But she started out as a licensed assistant and then quickly turned into a buyer's agent.
Okay, because you're heavy in the buyers. So one of the ways you are able to be heavy in the buyer's side is because of your relationship with the relocation. You do a ton of corporate relocation.
Correct. So Century 21 Judge Fite is one of the 4 brokers on a large relocation account. So if a company is moving, a large bulk of individuals here, they're not going to move themselves. They're going to have a relocation company that is involved, that helps facilitate their benefits and their relocation package to bring them here.
Okay, wonderful. So Judge Fite, Century 21 is connected with that. And so you help to bring how many families from Toyota here?
So far, we're north of 150 families, and that started in July of 2015. So we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary from my very first closing.
Wow. Well, that is incredible. And so is Toyota finished with all the moving?
For the most part, that kind of slowed down at the end of 2017. There's still, some that are trickling in, and there's, some that have already been promoted that are on the move to, other locations or plants. So we're involved with a couple listings at the moment.
Awesome. So they're moving around. Mm-hmm. So now that they're here, they're going to move around. And I live over in Northeast Carrollton, over there near Plano Parkway in that area, 190. And 121, and they're just all this new construction like crazy over there. And I think many of the buyers, what do you think? The buyers are just going directly to the builder?
A lot of times they are. I mean, builders have built tons of inventory in preparation for, not just one company that has moved here, but there's a lot of companies that are moving here because of some of the larger corporations, and there's service or ancillary, services to these big corporations. So I think that we're going to continue to see, a large, corporate presence relocating to the DFW area for years to come.
Well, that is awesome. And I figure, okay, they can go ahead and go straight to the builder, but eventually these people are going to want to, sell their homes, and we can get in there then.
Sure. To me, it's all about, relationships. If you build your book of business,
right,
and you are not a transactional agent, you are a proactive agent, and you constantly stay in touch, with your past clients, is something that my real estate coach has taught me to do.
Okay.
Very well. Then you continue to get referrals.
Okay, so which real estate coach do you use? Do you mind letting us
know?
So
Sean Kokoska, he is the president and founder of Icon Coaching. He's based in Austin. He's been coaching me for a year and a half.
Okay.
And he's been very valuable to my business and my team's business and production.
Okay, that's wonderful. We have a question coming in from Facebook. If you had $500 to invest in real estate, $500K, this is from Steve Ward. If you had $500K to invest in real estate, what or where would you put that money to work?
So, Steve, that's a great question. Some investors like the buy, hold, rent out because they like that mailbox money and they like to cash flow their properties.
Two. You would want two with $500.
Correct.
You wouldn't want to buy a $500K home.
Correct.
You want two small ones.
If somebody can rent a $500,000 house and make that rent payment, they can probably buy a house.
This is a client,
mm-hmm.
so that's how.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Other things that I've done personally is I've done building a condo project. I've done value add. So currently, right now, I have a house under construction in Richardson where we bought it, and we're adding 1,000 square feet to it. So there's lots of different investment strategies that you can take that $500,000 with and put it to work for you.
Okay, so break it up instead of just one big house. Getting, two smaller houses whenever we sell that house. Yes.
Correct.
That's awesome.
I never like to have all my eggs in one basket, especially with that kind of money.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. And so, what were we talking about? We were talking about Sean Kokoska,
yep.
who was your real estate coach or is your real estate coach. And
Correct.
Really, you would be able to say that he has helped you get where you are.
Accountability. I mean, when you get to this number of transactions and the volume, sometimes things can get real loose real fast. And having a weekly coaching call, again, he helps keep me on track, and the information and the systems that I've learned from him, I've been able to pass down, to my team members.
Fascinating. Okay, so weekly coaching call. What does it sound like?
Well, so there's an Excel spreadsheet. There's a tracker of things that have to be done week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4, and we're going over all of those tasks to make sure that the prospecting is there, facilitation of transaction coordination is there.
Okay.
Staying in touch with past clients. He's big on face to face. So as he says, face to face, belly to belly. That's where you build your relationships. Social media is great. Phone calls are great. Text messages are great. But in person, seeing them face to face.
Pop-ins.
Your top 50, yes.
Your top 50 pop-ins. Well, that sounds good. I bet you that's expensive, but I want to check it out.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. We have a question coming in. If you can call 214-787-1190, that question you have there is a little long, and I don't want to touch the screen and mess up our video there. So that is just fascinating. So you've got somebody that's holding you accountable for doing all of the things that you need to get done.
Well, I look at it as, we're professionals in our industry. Why would we not have a coach? Golfers have swing coaches and head coaches and, physical therapists because they're at the highest level. When we get to the highest level in our industry, why would we not have a coach?
Well, I agree. And being one of the top 1% realtors, you would know. That is fascinating. And we've got to go to break, don't we? Before we go to break, how many people do you have on your team?
I have 5 employees currently.
5 employees, and is that including your licensed assistant?
Correct.
So you have your licensed assistant, but that you pay them as employees.
I have a buyer's agent, 1099, 2 buyer's agents, that are 1099.
Okay.
And then I have 3 employees, 2 transaction coordinators, and then a marketing person.
Okay, wow. So your transaction coordinators will probably handle everything because they're in-house. So
Absolutely.
You can have them handle these contracts that I have to write up right now, right after the show, stuff like that. You don't have to do that anymore.
Correct. I want to be able to negotiate contracts and then hand the file off to my transaction coordinator to facilitate the paperwork, make sure the option money and the earnest money gets delivered and the inspection gets scheduled, et cetera.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to the Jenna Ryan Show here on KFXR 1190.
Everyone, hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Jenna Ryan Show. I just love Dontrell. Hi, Dontrell. He's our producer, and he's here just bringing it for us today. Thank you for being here every Sunday. We're here live at the iHeart Media radio station. I am interviewing Troy Olson. He is a $55 million producer in the Frisco, Prosper, North Dallas area with Century 21 Judge Fite. And we're just really getting some great information and knowledge about becoming a $55 million producer, which, how much work does that take? The first thought for me is like, whoa. How many transactions?
Last year was 135.
135 transactions, but you've got helpers.
True.
You've got people.
Yeah, so right now, Julie, she's been with me for 4 years. She's a full-time buyer's agent. All she does is handle buyers.
Okay.
And then Carly is my kind of a hybrid. She's my co-listing agent. She's my marketing manager.
Wow.
And she is also a buyer's agent, kind of the second-string buyer's agent. Okay. And then Kayla is my lead transaction coordinator. She handles transactions for Carly and I.
Okay.
And then Tana handles Julie's transactions.
Okay. And what about listing appointments?
I do all of the listing appointments. I do all of the listing interviews.
Okay. So you just have really incredible backup. So what you're doing is you're out there doing what you do best.
Well, as my real estate coach says, make sure you're doing productive items during productive times. And if I'm going to be the face of the franchise and I'm going to go out and interview for the listings, these sellers expect me to show up. They expect me to do the work. They expect me to do, the negotiations. So, and that's why we do it that way. But yeah, I do all the listing interviews. Okay.
Let me ask you, productive items at productive times. For a real estate agent, that's kind of off your typical. What is that?
So
productive time.
The best use of my time is not to sit in the office every day, all day, and answer emails. So I need to be out with, my top 50 or my top 100 past clients, continuing to develop that relationship, generating referrals. I have an opportunity to, do a TV show. Obviously, I have an opportunity to do things like this with you.
Right.
And then go out and, interview for listings. That's where you are developing and growing the business. If I'm not securing the listings that I go on, our business isn't growing. If I'm not generating, buyers,
right,
then my buyer's agents don't have buyers to show property to and sell houses to.
Are you doing like Zillow, Realtor.com, pulling in leads that way at all?
I'm not paying for any advertising. We have an incredible sphere of influence that we've developed over the last several years.
Yeah, you do.
And we hit them hard and often, and we stay in front of them with we use BombBomb for 1-year anniversary videos and birthday videos. And then we do quarterly pop buys. So we actually did some pop buys last Thursday and Friday where we picked about 100 clients, and we divvied it up between myself and my team, and we all dropped off something pre-4th of July to approximately 100 past clients.
Sweet. Oh, my gosh. I'm shook. I'm completely shook. I've heard this, but it's like, it's such a hot market. I've been doing this for 6 years. And it's just so hot that all of these things are your deep stuff that keeps your business in the good times and the bad times, and you don't have to do advertising.
It makes a difference when a client wakes up and they have a video from you that says, "Oh my gosh, you remembered my birthday." How do you do that?
How do you ask for people's birthdays? I feel kind of awkward asking.
So when we're doing our transaction coordination, we have a template that we fill out, whether they're a buyer or a seller. Client's name, spouse's name, email address, phone number, address, and we get their birthdays. And we put it in the template, and then we put it in the BombBomb system. And at the end, on the last day of every month, there's a reminder to make sure we got all the birthdays from the previous month's closings. So we had 8 closings in June. We got 8 birthdays, or 16 birthdays if they're a couple.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so just birthdays, or do you socialize with these people? Do you have happy hours, dinners?
So we do 2 large client appreciation parties a year. So every January or February, I rent out the main event at Main Street in the Tollway.
Awesome.
And that is an event for past clients and their kids to show up.
Okay.
And then August, September timeframe, I work with Captain Mike, who owns Big Cat Catamaran out on Lake Louisville, and then we do a big party with our past clients, adults only, on that one for the fall.
Okay. Now there are also some big agents that are doing things like they have a moving truck, a bounce house. Yep. What is all that about?
It's all about providing service to your clients.
Okay.
So, and I know a couple of the top producing agents and teams that do that. They have a lot of success with that. The truck, I think the moving truck is a great idea because it's a huge moving billboard.
Yeah.
And it's a service that if you are moving from Frisco to Salina or McKinney to Richardson,
right.
They don't have to worry about, going out and finding their own mover. We're going to supply that. So I think that's a great idea. And like I said, I know a couple teams that do that, and I'm good friends with a couple of those folks, and it's been a very big hit for them.
What about liability, though? I'm always afraid to even recommend a mover because what if they break something?
Well, I mean, there's liability in everything we do. That's why we have to take broker responsibility course as a team leader and you do as a broker.
Right.
There's liability in anything. Just like if you are a restaurant owner that serves alcohol, big risk, big reward.
Right. Yeah. So what is the advantage of I'm just going to ask you this. You can answer if you want. For someone like me, like in thinking about how I'm going to develop my real estate practice, because right now it's just me, a marketing coordinator and a transaction coordinator.
Sure.
That does contract to close. What would be the best way to structure my company? Would you hire agents or would you build a team?
So that's a great question. So when it came time for me to grow my team, I looked at it and said, am I more buyer heavy or am I more listing heavy?
Right.
And at the time, I was more buyer heavy, which is why I brought Julie on in July of 2014 as a licensed assistant that quickly turned into a buyer's agent. So if you looked at your volume of business over the last 6 years and broke down how many buyers and how many sellers do you have, that will determine whether you have a co-listing agent or a buyer's agent. But your very first hire should always be transaction coordination, because getting caught up in the paperwork. Now, the paperwork is as important as selling the deal.
Absolutely. They got to be good.
But if the paperwork on the back end is not tight, then the deal is going to go south. You miss critical deadlines like the option period, the third-party finance addendum deadline.
Right.
Did the appraisal get ordered? We're looking at the HOA addendum here. Did that get delivered on a timely manner? So, in my opinion, the very first hire is a transaction coordinator.
Absolutely. Okay. So let me just interrupt. So transaction coordinator, I have one right now from contract to close.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at bringing someone on from, contract. But like, for example, she's not going to do the weekends. And so do you just sometimes have to write up your own contracts, or are you so tight with your people that you don't have to do that ever?
So I'm deep in production, and the challenge that you and I have is we're only one human being. And if we have two buyers that want to see houses on a Saturday, you got to start one in the morning, one in the evening. But if there's a 15-home day, it's going to be tough to get to that second buyer.
Right.
So I think that if you can bring on, and something that's starting to evolve and something that my real estate coach has introduced me to is called a showing assistant. Now, they're not a W-2 employee on your staff, but they are somebody who recently got their license. They want to learn the industry. And what you can do is you could hire them as a showing assistant and either pay them hourly or you could pay them per home showing.
But they have to have their license.
They have to have their license because they have to be able to open that lockbox. But it's called a showing assistant. They're not a buyer's agent. They're a showing assistant. Unfortunately, I don't want to say the only thing that they're going to do is, crack the lockbox and open the door. Well, they're going to show the property. And if the buyer likes the property, somebody from your company is still going to type the contract and do the negotiation.
Right.
But if that buyer didn't get an opportunity to see the property, you wouldn't even have the opportunity to type the contract.
How do you find people? Because it's really difficult to find good people. And how do you judge whether someone's good?
So because the real estate market is so hot, everybody wants to get into it. Everybody thinks that we just, wear fancy clothes and drive fancy cars and make all this money.
And wear big hair.
I don't have a whole lot of that left. They don't know, they don't know what goes out. They don't know the broker split. They don't know the franchise fee. They don't know the marketing expense. They don't know the hours that we go into it.
Right.
So
and the skill set.
And the skill set that it takes to negotiate. I mean, you are handling the most expensive asset a buyer or seller will ever handle in their life. You have to know what you're doing. So it isn't just, you spend $1,000 or $1,500 and get a piece of paper and says, I have a license that says I can be a real estate agent. Just because you have one doesn't mean you're going to be any good at it.
Well, and that's another thing is justifying our fees. And whenever we come back from this break, I want to talk about how you justify your fees to clients, who think that real estate agents make so much money. And like you just said, you just, mentioned a whole bunch of it is that, there's a lot going into it. Yeah, we do well, but we deserve it because we work hard, and also we have a skill set and all the things you just said.
Absolutely agree.
So that is awesome. That's really exciting, and I love hearing this. You guys, thank you so much for listening. We've got more show coming up after this break. Give us a call, 214-787-1190.
I got this feeling.
This is the Jenna Ryan Realty Show here on KFXR 1190.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thank you so much for listening to the Jenna Ryan Show. I appreciate you listening and love all you guys out there. Love your phone calls, 214-787-1190. Phone lines are open, and I'm here today with Troy Olson with Century 21 Judge Fite. He is a $55 million producer. That just makes my head spin. And he's working 80 hours a week, and he is incredible. And I've seen his name on a lot of when I go show and stuff like that, I see his name around. And he's got a team, and he's telling us a lot of things. He has 13 years of experience. You're 42 years old. Oh, can I say that?
You can.
Okay. Only 42 years old, so he's got lots of go get 'em and lots of, and one of the things I have to say is I appreciate someone who's willing to come on and share with the world and is not, understands the law of reciprocity. Whenever you give, it comes back to you. And he's not being snobby, and he's making time for us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I think if my parents could hear this, they would agree with me that they're the ones that taught me the work ethic. They're the ones taught me to give back. I know that, growing up on a farm in Wisconsin, we always had the equipment. So when it snowed, my dad would be plowing everybody's driveway. And, in the summertime, if somebody needed an extra wagon or an extra tractor, it was always just help everybody out. And that's just something that I continue to do in my business. So.
Well, that's wonderful. And, it's really important that you are around people who are able to lift you higher. And it's good to hear from people that are producing $55 million a year because it really helps us to, you want to be around people that are, really have strong work ethic and are really making things happen in this world. And that's what we're doing here today on the Jenna Ryan Show. So, okay, so we talked about teams. So now let's talk about justifying your fee. Mm-hmm. So how do you like I've had people say, oh, those real estate agents make so much money. And it's like, oh my gosh, don't they understand what we know and what we do?
Honestly, I don't think they do. They think that they just take the sale price times 3% or 6% and just think that we get all that money.
Right.
And again, they forget about franchise fees. They forget about brokerage fees and splits.
Right.
They forget about the IRS that's going to, tag us for income tax, that we
right.
pay that in quarterly. And again, we don't have a guaranteed paycheck. When we start today, it's July 1st.
Right.
I know what I got going out, whether I sell a house or not this month.
Right.
But there's no guarantees. It's 11:40 a.m. on July 1st, and I haven't sold a house this month. Now, I hope that changes in about 3 hours. But again, I got guaranteed money going out the door, but nothing guaranteed's coming in so far.
Okay, and also, what about just our sheer expertise? Like what would make you or myself different from just anybody that has a real estate license? And I don't want to talk negatively about any realtor. However, how do we differentiate and say, okay, I know that they're giving you a deal and,
Well, at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. And
right.
you can't put a price tag on experience. You can't put a price tag on product knowledge. And now,
right.
if somebody came to me and said, hey, I have a house in Fort Worth, I want you to sell it,
right.
I would be doing them a disservice because I don't live and operate in that immediate area.
Right.
We've got 850 plus agents at our brokerage firm. We have an office in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
The best thing that I could do for that client would be to find my best solution counterpart in our Fort Worth office
right.
and refer that deal to them.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Okay. So, well, that's wonderful. Good to know. Let's see. You use coaches. What else can we ask you? What's the single most important aspect of success for you?
Communication time. In my listing presentation, it says that in there. If it takes me longer than 90 minutes to get back to you, you can fire me.
Right.
We're in the real estate industry, but we're in the business of communication. And unfortunately, we've gotten spoiled where we are in a world where we want to know something right now. And if we don't get an answer, we're going to go on to get the answer to the next person or the next website or the next resource. So you've got to answer your phone. You've got to be on your email. You got to respond as fast as you can or they're gone.
And I do that, but I don't tell anybody I do it. I mean, that's just, I don't care if it's 10:30 at night. I'm going to be texting you right back. Now if you're with somebody, you just say, I'll be right back with you. That's a good thing that you have to do to be a top producer in this market. Absolutely. Now, so how many deals do you have going on at a time?
So we've had 42 closings so far this year.
My gosh.
We have 20 in escrow for the month of July.
Holy mackerel.
So July is going to be a little bit crazy, but that's a good problem to deal with. And obviously in the month of July, we hope to sell, 10 homes that are going to close in August or September. So as you know, this industry is a roller coaster. Some months are better than others.
Right.
July is an abnormally, good month. We certainly don't get to do that every month, but I'll take them when we can.
Okay, so what do you think about the market right now? Do you think we're slowing down? Do you see a correction? I know right now I don't feel one, not in July.
Well, and I think we get that question, every day. I mean, we knew the interest rates were going to go up. They had to, and we were warned. We just didn't know how much they were going to go up. We didn't know when they were going to go up. We suspected, one time each quarter in 2018. I'll say this, that this year for us isn't as strong as last year.
Right.
But, we've got 6 months to catch up. Depending on the price point, the days on the market is definitely different, from last year.
400 and up, we're looking at 30, 60 days.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's under 400, those are still, flying off the shelf very quickly.
I love under 300. I could just sit there all day and
Well, they're going
to
turn. They're going to turn. I mean, if you've got $1 million house or you've got 4 at 250 or 3 at 300,
right,
you have more touches 3 at 300
Absolutely.
They're going to turn over more often, and then again, you got some income that you can sustain, not while you're waiting for the $1 million plus home to go.
What is your average price per transaction for the home?
In 2017, it was right at $415,000.
Okay.
This year, it's actually going to be probably closer to $500, just because of some larger than normal transactions that we've fortunately been able to be a part of this year.
Okay, and so you're selling a ton over there in Frisco. What are some of the neighborhoods that you
So I would
sell
say
in?
I would say Prosper is by far our most popular city, or the city that we sell.
That's
the
where
most
people are
in. So-
having to go because they're getting what they want there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean the lot sizes, are bigger. Prosper's starting to, obviously add to schools.
Uh-huh.
The retail is certainly, moving north. With restaurants and grocery stores and stuff like that going up there. So, Prosper's been hot for a while, and now
Yes.
it's moving north into Salina. So we do a lot of business in Prosper and Salina.
So that's your biggest area?
Correct.
More so than Frisco?
Absolutely.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, and then we talked about that. What else do you want to tell us about your business?
Well, so I was looking at some of the content here, and what are my goals for the future? The goal is to get to $100 million in sales production,
Okay.
which is a monster number. Obviously, last year, we were about halfway there, so we know that it's not going to happen overnight. But we have to continue to recruit good real estate agents that have a book of business, continue to stay in front of our sphere of influence and grow our business, grow our listing production as well.
Okay, absolutely. And so just keep on doing what you're doing, and then eventually you're going to hit 100. Now, can we talk about who has the most? Cindy O'Gorman?
I think statistically, if you look at the numbers, I think Cindy O'Gorman has probably been the highest producing realtor every year in the 15 years that I've been here. So obviously
Right.
she's a very high-end agent, with Ebby Holiday in Dallas, and she's got
Right.
a great team, and she produces a ton.
Yeah, she's got like 20 people under her as well. And so, yeah, that's interesting. And then Ebby Holiday sold to Berkshire Hathaway.
That is correct.
Did
I
that
understood
happen?
that happened a month ago or so. They've kept the name. So, and I've got a lot of very close personal friends that work over there. Great
Yeah.
brokerage firm.
Yes.
Very classy organization.
Absolutely.
They've got a large presence right in my backyard in Frisco.
Absolutely. And Berkshire Hathaway is a very hands-off investment company, so they'll let them run it exactly as they've run it for many, many years. And Ebby Holiday is a great brokerage. And what about Century 21 Judge Fite? What is a benefit of that brokerage?
So Century 21 Judge Fite started in Dallas in 1937.
What?
And Jim and Jan took over from their father or their parents in 1977. They've
Okay.
grown it to 25 offices, over 850 agents.
Wow.
And they continue to grow. I think nationally we were number 4 as
Really?
far as production in
What?
2017.
I didn't know that.
So that's all Century 21 franchises across the country.
Man, talk about work ethic. Do they work?
Jim and Jan are involved in this business every day, all day.
Wow. Well, that is wonderful. And so Century 21, yes, my mother was there, and y'all have really cool signs and stuff like that, marketing materials.
We got a new CEO about a year ago,
Okay.
and we are going through a brand shift. So instead of seeing the yellow Century 21 and the, outline of the roof of a house,
Okay.
you're going to see a different color, and
Okay.
you're going to see C21. So it's a much more modern, contemporary logo than we've had in the past.
Really streamlined.
Very exactly.
And now you've got this star on your card.
Yes,
What is that? The Dallas Cowboys?
that's correct. We've got a marketing agreement with them.
Wow. So what does that mean?
This is I think about the third or the fourth year that we've had an opportunity to partner with them from a marketing perspective.
That's awesome. And you also have a TV show that you're on?
That's correct. So Craig Sewing is a producer of American Dream TV.
Yeah.
He brought the show to Dallas in January. He had been producing it, airing it in 12 or 13 other major cities throughout the U.S.
What's the name again?
American Dream TV.
And what is it about?
So it's about getting the negative media out of real estate and talking about the positives and the benefits of real estate and real estate agents. There's 12 agents in all of DFW that get to be part of the show.
Nice.
I go into the studio once a month to record and be on the show, and I can do that solo or I can bring a guest. And then we choose the content. I get to choose the content.
Right.
And the producer, asks me, a handful of questions about, our market or about how I advertise, how I market. I always get to promote a listing on each show with B-roll and
Okay, we've got to go to break. I'm so excited. We got to watch the show. We'll be right back.
Phone lines are open at 214-787-1190. Here's Jenna Ryan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jenna Ryan Show. Welcome back. We are here talking with Troy Olson today, Century 21 Judge Fite. He is a $55 million producer who works mostly in Prosper, Frisco, North. Do you ever do Plano?
Plano, Allen, McKinney, Salina. Those 6 core cities are about 95% of our business.
Okay. And he's got it going on over there. They're spinning plates. He's got transaction coordinators. He's got, assistants helping him to go out and sell houses in the Dallas market, which is wonderful. And I'm also a broker, so we're really getting into this today and talking. And so the market has shifted a little bit. Homes are not selling as quickly. Over 400, and most of your homes are probably over 400.
More over than under at this point.
And I'm more under than over because I love that 300 and under, and 400 and under, and I love 400 and up. So don't turn me away for that either. But anyway, but you're saying we were talking on the break, and there's not as much multiple offers going down on an $800,000 home.
Correct. There's just financially less people that buy 800 than buy 400, and so.
So you're not going to have, but if you were to be in a situation, say an investment property, and you wanted to win the offer, what would be I'm going to give a strategy that a client used this week. What would your strategy be? Give us a secret.
If I had the buyer and I want to win the deal?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to come high and you got to come clean. It's when they're asking for all these little things and asking for closing costs, and they want all this non-realty stuff thrown in there. If you love a property, you got to come hard and you got to come clean.
That's good. That's very important. And I'm just going to give you someone just handed me a check for my buyers, my seller, for $100,000.
Interesting. Cash deal?
Well, it didn't matter at that point because it was such a huge gesture that it took our breath away. We were like, whoa, $100,000 check. I'm like holding it going, okay, let me get this to the title company right away. But it was a phenomenal technique. I've never seen it used before, but they used it. He was like, that's how serious I am. It was day zero on the market. We hadn't even had the home on the market. The sign was up. Someone comes over, meets me at the house, hands me a $100,000 check, and he got the house. And so that is my tip for the week on winning a.
Well, the market is hot. There's still, a lot of investors coming into our market.
Yes. And
they want to get in the game, and they're willing to pay, full price or a little bit over to get in this game.
Well, he didn't even have to, he actually got a good deal because of this big gesture.
Sure.
It's just, who would do that? Not many people, but he thought it.
Bold statement. It
was awesome, and it worked. So that would be a little trick for if you want to do that. Okay, but most of the time, you're not getting multiple offers on those. So what constitutes a home that people want?
So I think the biggest thing we're seeing now is when you look at the transition of new homes over the last couple of years,
Yeah.
Grays and whites and lights and brights, and that's what people want. So when you're going to put your house on the market, yes, they want an open floor plan, but make sure that, it shows well. Again, light, bright, whites, grays. That's the in trend right now, and that's what's moving.
Okay. So if someone has a home and they want to sell it and they have all different colors inside, let's say yellow and some purple and some, even light colors.
Sure.
Would you recommend that person spend the $6,000 to have the interior painted?
It's worth it because what I'm seeing is, buyers, if they're moving here, they don't want a project when they get here. Life is hard enough to move. Mm-hmm. Trailing spouses, kids in school, they've got to get jobs. The trailing spouses have to get jobs. You got to get the kids in school. Right. You got to get readjusted. You got to find doctors and dentists and pediatricians.
Wow.
Life is hard enough. They don't want a project. So they want turnkey, neutralize that house, and then go on the market.
Okay, and that just brought a question to mind. Do you help them find all of these people?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with that?
As somebody who has rental properties and flips houses and is in construction, I've got roofers and painters and electricians and plumbers and stagers and landscapers and pool people. I have every one of those that I can just open the book up and give it to a client to say, here, you need to call this individual to handle that task.
Well, one of the things that I'm really careful about is I don't want them to feel like they're going to have to do a bunch of projects.
Sure.
Whenever I go out to list their property, because they're calling me to sell their home, not to tell them to go build a sunroom, and so I'm really careful about how much I tell them to do, But on something like painting, that's so vital, that's going to make a difference in how much you're going to get at the end. I think that's important.
The house, everybody's online, looking at houses before they even get out in the field, whether it be Zillow or Trulia or Realtor or through an MLS portal.
Right.
If the house doesn't show good online, less people are going to come look at it in person.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so one of the things you talked about was the referrals and the pop buys and things like that. So what does that do for your business when you're going out there and talking and visiting and staying connected with your sphere of influence?
It's like a handwritten note. It's a lost art in this world because people would rather send a text message or shout out at somebody on social media. That's fine, but showing that we took the time to go out to the house that we sold them and drop something off for them shows that we went the extra mile. Now, I didn't go to 100 houses last week. I would be lying if I said I did. But somebody from my team or I literally stopped at 100 doors to say thank you and give them, a little pre-4th of July gift to let them know how much we appreciate their business. And again, my clients are the reason that I was able to grow my business, not me. They're the ones that gave back to me. But if you do a good job,
yes,
they're going to give back.
They're going to give back. They're going to call you back.
Yep.
But that helps them to remember because there's competition out there. So does it give you referrals from their family and their friends as well, or
friends, family, coworkers, neighbors? Again, if you do something wrong, somebody's going to tell 20 people.
Right.
If you do something right, they're going to tell 10 people. So the whole reason we've been able to just explode our business the last 5 years is because of our database and staying in touch and staying close with them, with these pop buys, with the phone calls, go to lunch with them, and then the big, 2 client appreciation parties, at February and September.
And do you also do any farming, mailers?
So we'll do a just listed campaign around a house. We'll do some circle prospecting. We haven't done any farming in a while. It's something that I had done in the past with direct mail, but I've gotten away from that the past couple of years.
Are you involved in any organizations, any volunteer organizations or clubs or things like that locally?
I'm a member and a president of a networking group.
Okay.
And then we meet on a weekly basis. There's about 13 of us in the group, and you're only allowed to have one realtor, one title company, one lender.
What do they call those?
One roofer.
The
exclusivity to your chapter.
What about becoming mayor?
Well, I think Mr. Cheney has that wrapped up in Frisco right now. He's been the mayor of Frisco.
I can see you doing that
for about 14 months.
Maybe not Frisco, but
maybe in time. I don't know where I would fit into politics.
Well, it would be a great business enhancer. Can he actually sell real estate and be the mayor at the same time?
As far as I know, he can. I see his signs, and I know that he has a large team over there at the Associates. So I've met him personally. In fact, when I was having my client appreciation party, him and his wife and kids were at Main Event and went over and said hi. And I had met him before, and again, appreciate certainly all he has done, for the city of Frisco and just for the economy of Frisco in general.
Absolutely. With his online website, I used to talk to him about marketing whenever I used to do the marketing for real estate agents. His Frisco Online was an incredible website that he purchased and really took that and, everybody needed it. And are they still using Frisco Online?
I'm not sure. I've met him a couple times, and he's a brilliant individual, and he's done a ton to enhance the city of Frisco. Obviously, the announcement came down about a month ago that UNT is building a campus at Panther Creek in Preston Road.
Right.
He was a big component of making that happen. So that's certainly going to bring jobs and opportunity to the city. And again, the residents of Frisco are very appreciative of that.
Right. And so what about like the new neighborhoods in Frisco? We've got Canals of Grand Park.
Yep. So Canals of Grand Park has been great. You've got some custom builders in there. You've got some townhome builders in there. There's going to be some real – CB Jenny is in there. Darling is in there. And then on the higher end, you've got some Dries Custom Homes in there.
Absolutely, yes. So we had a great show today. We really appreciate you, Troy, for being here with us.
Thank you, Jenna, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for listening. And we'll see you next week. We'll have one of the executives with CCAR on, and y'all have a great week.
Thanks, all.